See you at the end.
Welcome to Boca Matters. I'm Katie Barr. Today we'll be talking about the COVID-19 pandemic and how it relates to Palm Beach County. Joining us will be the Deputy Mayor of Palm Beach County, our own County Commissioner, Robert Weinroth. Hello, Commissioner. Thank you for joining us today.
Good afternoon, Katie. It's great to see you.
Great to see you too. I just have to say before we get started that we all really appreciate your leadership at this time. It's very clear, very concise. Your newsletters are fabulous. So thanks so much for that.
Well, thank you so much. We're trying to keep everybody informed. It's been a very trying few months, and certainly everything we can do to let people know exactly what's going on makes them feel a little bit less stressed out.
Sure. One of the things I'm noticing as far as points of confusion is the chain of leadership. You know, we have the state, the county, and the cities. So is everyone on the same page, or how does that work?
Well, you know, it's interesting. In most national disasters, of course, the White House sort of takes control. And the White House made the decision to sort of push this out to the governors. And then the governors, speaking specifically to Governor DeSantis, felt because this state is so different between in the Panhandle and the Southeast, that it was better to let each of the county commissions be able to figure out what was best for the county. So we have 67 counties in Florida, and that means there are 67 different bodies figuring out how best to deal with their residents. But down here in Southeast, we've been working very closely with Broward, Palm Beach County, of course, Miami-Dade, and Monroe, because regionally we've had a lot of the same issues.
Oh, so as far as where we are right now, what do you see as working and what's not working so well?
You know, I think remarkably, when you figure there was no playbook for this, we have, as a state, understood that hurricanes are a fact of life. So we have an emergency management book, and we really have this very well orchestrated. You do the preparation, you hunker down, and then you do the after, the recovery. And it's a very concise book, and you know exactly what you're going to do, where you're going to roll out the shelters, how you're going to deal with getting food back out to people. This pandemic has really been something that no one really contemplated, and we've been writing the rules as we've been going along. And again, like I said before, because this has really been decentralized to the 67 counties, we've really had to work collaboratively with our neighbors, but still focusing on the needs of our residents here in Palm Beach County. So it's been a little bit bumpy sometimes, and I know, you know, there's been this concern about, well, who's calling the shots? And there's been a hierarchy here, and the governor has had some emergency orders, and then the county has had some emergency orders, and then the municipalities have had their own orders. So there's been sort of a hierarchy of orders. But we've worked together. We're working with Mayor Singer and with the city council, and I have, of course, other cities within my district, and then the counties are working with each other, and we're in very close communication with Jared Moskowitz, who is head of the emergency management, and then through Jared to the governor's office.
Oh, that's excellent. And what about the testing? Was there a reason why some of the facilities were closing down in West Palm?
Well, the reason they were closing down is because of the weather. At the Fit Team Center, it's all tents, and we've had some really interesting weather over the last few days. I mean, we've had 2 tropical storms already. Who would believe it's not even hurricane season? We've already had 2 named storms. So the only reason they closed Fit Team down was because of the weather. As you know, we've opened up a brand new site at FAU, and that site is the best site for people who are asymptomatic, because you don't have to have been exposed to somebody. You don't have to have some of the symptoms that people have been told, you know, a cough or a red eye or problems breathing. anybody can go in there over the age of 12, and it's free. And certainly anybody who feels concerned about whether they have it or not should go ahead, make a phone call, and go in and get tested. But it's important to realize it's a point in time test. So if you get tested on Monday and you get exposed on Wednesday, it's not going to help you.
Right, right. But it's still good to know, and thank you for that.
Yeah, and we've had a lot of sites throughout the county. We have over 40 sites, both commercial and the ones that the government has put up. And some of those commercial sites are doing the testing that you've probably heard about, the antibody testing. So
Right.
the antibody testing is really going to be key to the future. If you find out that you have the antibodies, presumably you got the disease, you may not even have known it. You may have been asymptomatic, but this way you'll be able to know that you have less of a chance of getting it again.
Well, that's good. As far as the numbers, Boca First, we have a few of our volunteers that have been diligently working, culling all the data that's available and
Right.
doing, really beautiful charts, very readable charts that, we share on social media. And it looks like in Palm Beach County, maybe we're starting to flatten the curve. What do you think about that?
Well, we've gone through the data today, and we're looking at several different data matrices. So we're looking at the number of new coronavirus people who are found to have the virus. So that's one set of symptom or one metric. Another metric is how many people are going to the hospital. Another metric is how many people have to be in the ICU. And of course, the last metric is how many people are passing because of this of the virus. So
Right.
the first one is the one that's most difficult right now to deal with because there's timing issues of when we get those results from the labs. In some cases, we're not getting those results for a week or so, which makes it very difficult for us. We're doing something that's called contact tracing, which means if you are found to have the virus, we contact you and we say, listen, you have the virus. We'd like to figure out who you may have exposed over the last period of time. Well, if you're only getting the results of that, let's say a week and a half after you took the test, it's not very helpful. So we're hoping to get this down to a 24 to worst case, a 48-hour turnaround on these tests so that people can be called quickly and we can say, all right, you do have the virus. Please let us know where you were in the last 2 days, who you saw, who we now have to call and tell them to be mindful, keep an eye, make sure that if their temperature is going up or if there are other symptoms that they should go ahead and get a test. So all of this is predicated upon getting the results quickly, and that's been very difficult. We're talking to the Surgeon General about trying to get the labs to move those results quicker because we didn't make those contracts. They were state contracts. And then hopefully the Surgeon General will take this to the governor and say, we need to, again, make these results more timely so that we can respond to them and deal with them. And again, the contact tracing is going to be a way for us to try and mitigate the contagion.
Boy, that's a lot of work.
It is, and there's a lot of people working on this. We have, as I said, we're normally working on hurricanes. We have an emergency operations center in West Palm Beach. That emergency operations center has been going for the last 3 months constantly. And so we have a lot of people who've been working very hard, trying to stay ahead of this, trying to deal, as I say, we're writing the book as we're going.
Right.
It's like trying to pave a road as you're driving down the road.
Well, honestly, we're very thankful that you're in charge, and we're
Not in
very
charge.
good
I'm just one of 7.
Well, right, you're looking out for us.
I certainly am.
So that's like, God forbid there's a resurgence. We hope there isn't. But if there is there anything that you think we should do differently?
At this point, the people I see, I tell them, please be mindful of the fact that you may have the virus and not even know it. So treat people around you respectfully. Stay 6 feet apart if you can. If you can't, if you're in tight quarters, please think about using a mask, because that's a way of trying to protect people around you. And then, look, we all have to be mindful that the new normal is going to mean that we're not going to be willing to get squeezed into a room next to somebody that we don't know. We're going to be washing our hands a lot more often. It's all of a sudden you're starting to see all the common surfaces you touch every day,
Right.
whether it's pushing a button or holding a banister. And, I walk around with my sanitizer, and you're doing what you have to do. And hopefully, if you do get it, it's going to be mild. We have to just protect those people who are vulnerable that could really wind up in the hospital with respiratory issues. And we really don't want to be responsible for someone else dying because of that.
Absolutely. Well, Commissioner, thank you so much for giving us your time today. I hope you and your family stay safe. And is there any way that if people want to get your newsletter, they're not getting it, where should they look?
Katie, that's great. I'd love to have people on my newsletter. Have them please email me at rweinroth, that's RWEINROTH, at pbcgov.org.
Okay. Well, stay well, Commissioner. Thank you.
You too, Katie. It's been great to see you.
Good to see you too. Bye-bye
Bye-bye.
now. Well, that's it for today, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us. And please feel free to send us your comments and suggestions to bocafirst.org.